Hey everyone. Today we are diving into something that, honestly, every network geek dreams about, having a complete software-defined data center that you can run right from your own laptop. We're going to be walking through this amazing GitHub repository called ClepLab SDN DCN that makes it all possible. So, if you're into networking, you've totally been here, right? You have all these big ideas you want to try out, maybe play with software-defined networking or SDN, but let's be real, the physical hardware is just insanely expensive. What if you could spin up that entire environment on your own computer for free? Well, that is exactly the problem this project solves. So let's meet the star of the show, CLAB SDN DCN. As the GitHub page says, this thing creates a fully fledged software-defined data center network. And we're not talking about some simple flat network either. No, this is built using a modern spine leaf architecture. You know, the kind you'd actually find in a real-world data center. Okay, so how does this magic actually work? I mean, how do you cram an entire data center onto a single machine? Well, it all boils down to a few brilliant open source tools playing really nicely together. I just love this quote from the project's README file. At its core, the whole lab uses Docker containers to act as the hosts and the network controllers. The virtual switches, those are handled by Open vSwitch. And the glue, the thing that holds all these virtual pieces together and makes them a real network, that's a fantastic tool called Container Lab. To really get what's going on under the hood, we need to look at the three key technologies that are basically the pillars of this whole setup. So let's break them down one by one. First up, Container Lab. You can think of this as the architect and the construction manager for our virtual data center. You just describe the network you want to build in a simple text file, a YAML file. You say, I want this switch to connect to these hosts, and I want this controller. Container Lab reads that file and just, poof, it builds the whole thing for you. It's perfect for creating complex labs that you can tear down and rebuild in seconds. Next, we've got Open vSwitch, or OVS. This is our virtual network hardware. Now, OVS is an incredibly powerful tool on its own, but the key here is how it's being used. It's acting as an SDN switch. That means it's not making any decisions by itself. Instead, it speaks a protocol called OpenFlow, and it just sits there waiting for a central controller to tell it exactly what to do with every packet. And that brings us to the brain of the whole operation, the Ryu controller. Ryu is the SDN controller that bosses around all of those Open vSwitch instances. This is the heart of SDN, right? And getting to play with a controller like Ryu is such a huge learning opportunity. Plus, this lab is super cool because it bundles in a tool called Flow Manager, which gives you this awesome graphical interface to actually see your whole network. Now, this whole setup is powered by Docker, right? The Ryu controller runs in one container, and all the virtual hosts use this super handy network multi-tool image. But here's the best part, especially when you're just getting started. You don't have to go find these yourself. Like the README says, they get pulled automatically the first time you fire up the lab. Super convenient. Okay, so this all sounds really powerful, but you might be thinking, it's gotta be complicated to set up. Nope. And this is where the pure elegance of this project really shines. You can bring this entire data center network online with just 2 commands. That's it. So, once you've cloned the repository from GitHub, you just run 2 little commands. First, set up -dc.sh. That creates all your virtual switches. Then, clab deploy. That tells Container Lab to read the topology file and build everything else. And boom, that's it. Your data center is live. And, you know, when you're done playing around for the day, tearing it all down is just as easy. You run clab destroy to get rid of the lab containers, and then reset -dc.sh to clean up the virtual switches. This means you get a perfectly clean, repeatable environment every single time you want to experiment. It's fantastic. All right, the lab is up and running. But how do we know it's actually working? Let's walk through the verification steps, which are laid out perfectly right there in the GitHub README. First things first, you've got to check if the switches are actually talking to the controller. So you run this ovs-vs-ctl show command, and you're looking for one beautiful line. Is connected true. When you see that, you know the brain of your network is successfully connected to its body. Now for the really fun part, the visual payoff. Remember that Flow Manager GUI we talked about? You just pop open a web browser, go to the controller's IP address, and there it is, a complete visual map of your spine leaf topology. You can see all the switches, the hosts, how everything's connected. It's awesome. Okay, this is the moment of truth. It looks pretty, the controller says it's connected, but can our little virtual hosts actually talk to each other through this software-defined network? Does it actually work? The final test is a good old-fashioned ping. You use a Docker exec command to jump inside one of the virtual hosts and try to ping another one. And what are we looking for? This right here, 0% packet loss. This is the ultimate proof. It means the SDN controller did its job, programmed the switches, and traffic is flowing perfectly. It works. And honestly, that's just scratching the surface. The lab doesn't stop there. The README file shows you how to go way deeper. You can fire up Wireshark to inspect the actual OpenFlow traffic. You can get detailed analytics with SFlow. You can even jump in and modify the Python code for the Ryu controller itself to completely change how the network behaves. It's an incredible sandbox for learning. So, now you've seen what this amazing project can do, from the simple setup all the way to verifying that it works. The only thing left is for you to try it out yourself. I mean, why wouldn't you? This project is just the perfect way to get real hands-on experience with SDN. You'll learn about modern data center architectures, and you'll get to play with powerful tools like Container Lab and Rio. And the best part? It is completely 100% free and open source. So here's your call to action. Get yourself over to this URL on GitHub. The entire project, including that fantastic README file we've been walking through, it's all right there. Go on, give the repository a star to thank the author for their incredible work, and then clone it to your machine to get started. With a complete, software-defined data center sitting right there on your laptop, ready to go, the only real question left is, what are you going to build with it? What new ideas will you test? The possibilities are endless.